What is good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things box. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put it on all so you get notified soon as new content drops on the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. So one of the fights we had over the weekend, there were a few. One that stuck out to me was Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez versus Julio Cesar Martinez. This was a fight, the younger guys, sorry, not the young guys, the smaller guys. Chocolatito now 34 years old and Martinez 27 years old. This was one where it was a little bit of short notice for Martinez, from what I understand. Um, but he was the younger man by 7 years in going into this as Chocolatito for one of the small guys, those lighter guys like the flyweights. He's 34 years old now, so he's a guy. He's had a lot of wars, but he's shown greatness in a lot of fights. So going into this, there were a few people picking Martinez. From what I saw, yeah, a few boxing channels and stuff where people were just thinking, maybe this is changing of the guards. This guy's younger, he's fresher, less miles on the clock, so perhaps this is this guy's time. I didn't know much about this guy Martinez, but yeah, I watched the fight, really enjoyed it. It's just a few thoughts on it. So, what I liked about this fight, from the bell, from the word go, they got off to a big start. Down to business straight away from the word go, from the first bell. Martinez, he looked confident. He was a guy going in there, you know, throwing the power shots from that first bell. Even round one, you could tell he was looking to get down to business, throw the bombs, throw the power shots. Chocolatito, of course, he obliged. It was a little bit quieter than the rest of the rounds, but you could just tell that both guys came in there and they didn't come there to play games. They came down there for war. Chocolatito, however, during even these early rounds, you could just see there was a gap in class where Chocolatito, he was able to be there, be in range. And although Martinez was active, he was looking to always land those power shots. Chocolatito was in there, slipping and sliding, landing his counter shots, and he was willing at a lot of times in the early rounds take a few shots on the gloves, and then come back with his own shots. And when he came back, they were noticeable. The counters he was able to come back, good uppercuts, and he came back with very solid counters. Did Chocolatito the early rounds. You could see that even from early stages of this fight and throughout the entirety of the fight, Chocolatito was clearly the more skilled man. He had the higher ring IQ. You could just see that all the way through. And the thing I love about watching Chocolatito is that his style is come forward, it's aggressive, it's in your face, but it's still very relaxed. So he almost is like some compared to, I think Beats and Rhymes was comparing to Joe Frazier. And he's got that style where he can be there in your face, but he never seems to sweat, never seems to be out of character. And, he was in there, in range with this guy, young, hungry guy, looking to land these bombs, but he was still relaxed. He threw high volume of punches throughout this fight, and he let the guy. He does these moves where he like taps you on one side. He might tap with a jab and purposely not put any power into the jab, and then once you prepare for that left side, then bang, he hits you in the liver with another shot. And there was a lot of that in this fight where he just showed that veteran, those veteran moves where he was playing tippy tap with this guy, with Martinez, mixing it up. He'd do a few taps here and there and get you to brace to take a punch from one side, then bang, he's on the other side. And he's really, in this fight, as in most of his performances, he's great at, mixing up the power in order to deceive the opponent. So he was doing lots of that, just tapping one side, bang, landing a power shot, then a little soft one, bang, then a power shot. Really, really good, dude. You saw that throughout this fight, the incredible skills. I put here when I was noticing this fight that he was the perfect style of hitting and not getting hit, but being able to do that from within punching range. So most people think of hitting and not getting hit as dancing around the ring, moving, being away from the guy, being out of range. But Chocolatito, Roman Gonzalez, he's able to do the hitting and not getting hit from close range. He can be in your face, he can hit you, and then you're not going to be able to hit him. And that's what he was in this fight. Just poetry in motion from close range. Gonzalez, sorry, not Gonzalez, Martinez, this Julio Cesar Martinez, he's a guy that he does throw shots from awkward angles. Sometimes he squares up his body, and in some of his other fights, from what I've seen, I've not seen much of it, but his awkwardness of the angles he throws from make it difficult for most of his opponents to get him or to figure him out, because he hasn't got the typical style. He's aggressive and he does throw bombs, but it's a little bit awkward. But for Chocolatito, that awkwardness of Martinez made no difference. Chocolatito was able to get to grips with it, I want to say, from round one. He tried to throw these wide punches, but again, that awkwardness, Chocolatito, I think because he's just seen it all, it didn't really affect him remotely. And another impressive thing with this fight was that from round 1 to round 12, Chocolatito, he never got out of his comfort zone. He never looked flabbergasted or really ruffled or bothered in this fight. He literally, which is another impressive thing I found about this performance and a lot of his fights, is that he just sets his own pace. He just boxes at his own pace, so he never really seems to be bothered by anything, and that's what he done in this fight. That was part of his superior skill level in this fight. It's that as I say, being in range, being able to hit you can't hit him, but also the pace of the fight was his. He was able to just be in that ring, fight, young guy, hungry guy, trying to come at him, but he never seemed flustered. He was always boxing at his own pace. He didn't need to change much because this guy was levels below, and the pace was just Chocolatito's pace. He just dictated the pace from the word go, and that was impressive because that was pretty much throughout the whole fight. And again, from the mid rounds onwards, so sort of 6, 7, 8, from those rounds onwards, it just became, any competitiveness in this fight just, for me, completely went out the window, and it just turned into a systematic beatdown with, Chocolatito Gonzalez just landing pretty much at will. And Martinez, he's a fighter that is a front foot fighter. He likes to keep coming forward all the time. But Chocolatito, I want to say, you could argue he broke his heart because from those mid rounds, Chocolatito made him have to move back because he was in his face all night long. And then when it got to those mid rounds and Martinez, Martinez had to sort of back up while Gonzalez, Chocolatito, he just kept pushing. He was just like a train. And as I said, because he just fought at his own pace, never really out of breath, he was able to just dictate and keep dictating and almost bully Martinez back to the ropes several times. Martinez was brave. He was clapping the gloves and saying, yeah, come, hit me. But he was being backed off because of the superiority in the skills. And it came to the point in the sort of late rounds, championship, last 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, where, Gonzalez was, Chocolatito was just making it into a thing where it's just hitting Martinez. And for Martinez, it was just a survival thing. All he could do was stay on the ropes, and he was hesitating to throw punches. He was worried about throwing punches because of what's going to come back. So he was being brave, but all he was stuck with doing was just on his back foot and just surviving, trying to survive the last round. And, as I say, the championship rounds, Gonzalez, he couldn't miss. He landed every punch in the book. He did virtually every punch that you can think of. Uppercuts, hooks, body shots, jab, right, every punch in the book. Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez landed it, you know. Um, for Martinez, he won hardly any rounds. I think maybe 3 rounds out of the whole fight, 2, 3 rounds. But I suppose one thing you can take away is that he was in there with a great fighter, and his chin got tested, and his chin was able to stand up to all those bombs that he took. So you can take that away from it. But again, you know, even 12th round, just pretty much more of the same. But I give Martinez credit in the 12th round because Martinez showed the grit. There were some points in this fight where he looked like he was worried, and there was concern in the corner, and the corner had to G him up and get him back out there, sort of thing. And in the 12th round, he done himself quite proud. You know, he swung away with Gonzalez. He tried to land some power shots and get something out of the fight, but of course, by the 12th round, it just simply wasn't enough. So overall, it was one of those fights where it was kind of a mismatch skill wise, but you know, as far as toughness goes, chins go, Martinez, you know, he can still be proud of that, and he can work on things after this. But for Chocolatito Gonzalez, it's another great performance by him. Very impressive. You know, it was just essentially it turned into just a beatdown by Chocolatito. So yeah, impressive by him. You know, he showed again why he is one of the pound for pound elite, one of the very, very best we have in boxing today. So I say let's appreciate him while he's still here. Hats off to him. And that's my thoughts. Let me know what you thought of the fight. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out.